everyone. Juliana Forlano here for act.tv. We are in the Upper East Side near Midtown Manhattan with strikers from Toys R Us. They are former employees who are demanding severance pay. Apparently, private equity funds and corporate executives are profiting by bankrupting the company. As you know, Toys R Us was taken over by, or was ruined by vulture capitalism. The $470 million profit, which has been paying the executives, these people are demanding that the 30,000 out-of-work Toys R Us workers get $15,000 in severance pay each for the years of hard work they have put into the company that allowed the private equity firms to make those millions of dollars in the first place. So these are workers who have been thrown away by capitalism, thrown away by vulture capitalism, and they are demanding that they get $15,000 each in severance pay instead of that $470 million profit going to the top executives and the finance companies.
To sell their stores and pay them rent. They went from owning their home to renting their stores. It was expensive. It was lucrative for Vornado. And it is yet another reason why Wall Street greed is bad for regular people. They took hundreds of millions of dollars out of Toys R Us. Toys R Us was a healthy company. This did not have to happen. It shouldn't happen again. But if Congress does not act, Sears, Radio Shack, Claire's, Payless, Sports Authority, the list will continue to grow. Of retail companies that they have destroyed. Over 200,000 people have lost their jobs since 2016 because of leverage buyouts. It needs to stop. Every worker should get severance pay. Every company that made profits on this deal should have those profits taxed. 100%. Because that money is ours. It doesn't belong to them. We all built this company. We're all Toys R Us kids. That money belongs to us.
Devin!
Up next, we have Devin, who's from Babies R Us.
Mic check! My name is Devin. I started 8 years ago in Comac, New York. I transferred and currently live in Durham, North Carolina. I was hired at 20 years old just looking for part-time work. I stayed because they became my family. I always thought Toys R Us would be a part of my kids growing up.
You're watching a rally for the workers of Toys R Us against the vulture capitalism corporations who have basically destroyed their company.
My name is Mary. I'm from Ohio. I'm from Ohio. I work customer service and sales. I work customer service and sales. For 24 years. For 24 years. I have 4 grandchildren. I have 4 grandchildren. Who never shop at Toys R Us. Who never shop at Toys R Us. I am sad. I am sad. I will be losing my job. I will be losing my job. And my Toys R Us family. And my Toys R Us family. I was counting on retiring in 3 years. I was counting on retiring in 3 years. But my job was taken from me. But my job was taken from me. It won't be easy at my age to find new work. It won't be easy at my age to find new work. My husband works 2 jobs. My husband works 2 jobs. And he also can't retire. He also can't retire. Because he's working for my benefits. Because he's working for my benefits. Our politicians need to listen up. Our politicians need to listen up. Because we will vote them out. Because we'll vote them out. Bain, Capital, KKR, and Vornado. Bain, Capital, KKR, and Vornado. Should be held accountable. Should be held accountable. They need to pay us our severance pay. They need to pay us our severance pay.
You're watching a live demonstration in front of Vornado, the realty trust company, by workers of the currently destroyed by vulture capitalism Toys R Us workers.
I'm from Waco, Texas.
I'm from Waco, Texas.
I worked for Toys R Us for 5 years.
I worked for Toys R Us for 5 years.
During high school and college.
During high school and college.
My mom worked for the company for 20 years.
My mom worked for the company for 20 years.
My father even worked for the company.
My father even worked for the company.
Even before I was working there, I was part of the family.
Even before I was working there, I was part of the family.
Personally, now it affected my whole family.
Personally, now it affected my whole family.
My mom now has to find a job at age 50.
My mom now has to find a job at age 50.
I remember being 12 or 13.
I remember being 12 or 13.
My mom worked overnights.
My mom worked overnights.
My siblings were younger and didn't get to see their mother.
My siblings were younger and didn't get to see their mother.
It was really hard for us as a family to be a family.
It was really hard for us as a family to be a family.
But we also needed the money.
But we also needed the money.
I'm frustrated Wall Street corporations can abuse the law.
I'm frustrated Wall Street corporations can abuse the law.
But employees working don't have the time or resources.
But employees working don't have the time or resources.
To get the support we need for our families.
To get the support we need for our families.
I want to set the foundation for the other companies.
I want to set the foundation for the other companies.
So this never happens again.
So this never happens again.
We demand justice and compensation.
We demand justice and compensation.
Rise up!
Rise up!
Rise up!
Rise up!
Who are we?
Toys R Us!
Thank you.
Mic check.
Mic check.
We just came from Bain,
We just came from Bain,
where we were forcibly removed,
where we were forcibly removed,
and Michelle was interrupted.
and Michelle was interrupted.
So I'd like to give her some space
So I'd like to give her some space
to share her story again.
to share her story again.
My name is Michelle and I've worked for the company for 4 years in Portland, Oregon. I am a single mom of 2 kids. In January, my son was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes. My daughter starts school in 3 months and now I have to stress about whether we can survive day to day. We gave up so much for this company and they didn't have the decency to tell us we were closing. They told us we had nothing to worry about. We found out from other customers and the media. It was a punch to the gut. I'm scared I won't be able to afford rent or my son's medication. But today, I feel empowered that we are coming together to support our family. We are Toys R Us. We want to be heard. We deserve better. We are worth more, and we are not backing down.
Mic check.
Mic check.
We have one more stop.
We have one more stop.
On this Wall Street tour of greed.
You're watching act.tv's live coverage of the March of former workers for Toys R Us. Toys R Us, the large toy company that everyone knows about, which was closed and eaten up by vulture capitalism, including Bain Capital, the former, and possibly, I'm sorry if I don't know if he's still there, but company that Mitt Romney ran for a number of years. I'm sure all of these people would not be Mitt Romney voters. The marchers are demanding severance pay that they earned, and you just heard from many, many workers who are telling their personal stories, including people who have worked at the company for over 25 years, who will now not have any retirement, and who are unlikely to be able to find a good job at their advanced age, or they have fears about that. Young women who have children to support and who may or may not be able to do so, given the current turn of events. Private equity funds and corporate executives, the argument is private equity funds and corporate executives shouldn't be profiting by bankrupting a company and throwing people out of work. The protesters request that the company use the $470 million profit that they have made on the backs of these workers to, instead of soaking it up and giving it to executives, pay the 30,000 out-of-work employees of the company of Toys R Us $15,000 each in severance pay. That was a lot of noise. But that isn't actual cops. That is just noisemakers from the protest. They are attracting attention here on 5th Avenue and 55th Street. You're watching act.tv's live coverage of the Toys R Us protest here in New York City. We are on 55th Street and 5th Avenue in the heart of the very expensive shopping district. They're going that way.
Make it right to find a way to get your workers severance pay. To get your workers severance pay.
There are signs being held up, need before greed, give us what we're worth. You can see these workers are the latest. Yeah, Jeffrey is the giraffe. That's as you can see, there's a coffin here with a tail of a giraffe. Jeffrey was the beloved giraffe mascot of Toys R Us, and he's dead now, as you can see. Eaten up by vulture capitalism. These people marching are what we're talking about when we talk about how corporate greed runs over Americans and American workers. The argument being made by these Toys R Us employees is that they, on their backs, are the ones who actually built the company, and they deserve a severance check instead of the $470 million profit going to Bain Capital. Again, you're watching a live protest march. You're watching act.tv. If you like this kind of coverage, or if you think that people who are doing street marches for justice should be covered, should have a media dedicated to them, please like our page, and better than that, share it wherever you're watching it on whatever social media, and please leave a comment. That is really what helps these videos go far and wide. So thank you. That is a way you can support these workers from your couch or phone. Again, you're watching a live demonstration walking through New York City. We're on 55th Street in Midtown New York, a very, well, let's just say it's the home of one of the retail capitalism areas, shall we say. I could only think of horrible words, but I'll use areas. A lot of big stores, a lot of very expensive stores, a lot of people in suits around. And the Toys R Us employees are marching in order to have justice served to them, as their company was basically closed down by vulture capitalists. The march has gone from Bain Capital to Voredo Realty. The company sold the stores that they owned, the real estate stores that they owned, to a real estate company, and then that real estate company, they rented them the stores at an enormous rate, sucking the value of the company up. And these are the workers who are tossed out, many of whom are company employees for 25 years, many of whom support families. They had very little notice that they were being tossed out, and some of the workers have said that they were not even told by the company that this was happening. They learned it on social media and in the media. You're watching Act TV. Again, we are covering the live protest march from Toys R Us. Toys R Us is the Toys R Us workers are marching between the different vulture capitalism corporations here on the Upper East Side and in Midtown of New York City that have destroyed the company that supported they and their families. They're protesting the fact that the $470 million profit made by the company, even though it is shutting down, is being given to private equity funds and corporate executives instead of giving each of the 30,000 workers that they tossed out $15,000 in severance pay, which is what they could do. They're basically giving them nothing. If they divided up all that money, they could still give them even $10,000 of severance pay and still keep money for themselves. It's just greed on display, and it's really heartening to watch these former workers walk in solidarity down 55th Street in New York City. As you can see up front, if you're just tuning in, there is a coffin. At the beginning of the march, there is a faux coffin inside, which is, supposed to be the giraffe that was once the beloved icon, the beloved mascot of Toys. You're watching the Toys R Us march by Toys R Us employees who have been tossed out of their jobs by Toys R Us liquidating what was a profitable company until vulture capitalists got on board and sucked it dry. These are the victims of capitalism. Again, you're watching Act TV. If you really like watching these protest movements, or if you believe that people marching for causes deserve to be covered in the media, and that their voices, the voices of the people, the voices of the disenfranchised by the current Wall Street greed, should be heard more so than they are being heard on mainstream media. Please like our page, please share it with other people, and please make comments. Even if you say hi, that actually helps us in our Facebook algorithm, and it helps us to get this message out to more people. You're watching Act TV's live coverage of the Toys R Us demonstration marching through Manhattan. We are on the Upper East Side of Manhattan, not too far away from Midtown, the capitalist center of the world. Marching up with the marchers, 6th Avenue. We are near 56th Street with former employees who've been tossed out of their jobs when Toys R Us closed under them. And they are demanding are asking for justice for the $470 million in profit that the company actually made and then distributed to private equity funds and corporate executives instead of giving their workers a well-deserved severance pay. The companies they are calling out are Bain Capital, once a place where Mitt Romney made a mark, and KKR. They also stopped at Vornado, which is a real estate agency that bought up their stores. Toys R Us stole their actual physical brick and mortar stores to this company, Vornado, and then Vornado turned around and rented them the properties and then increased the rent until it was unaffordable. You're watching a live march in New York City of the Toys R Us workers who were basically put out of work. We're going to go to some speakers that we heard speak earlier in this event.
Mic check.
Mic check.
My name is Devin.
My name is Devin.
I started 8 years ago in Comac, New York.
I started 8 years ago in Comac, New York.
I transferred and currently live in Durham, North Carolina. I was hired at 20 years old just looking for part-time work.
I was hired at 20 years old looking for part-time work.
I stayed because they became my family.
I stayed because they became my family.
I always thought Toys R Us would be a part of my kids growing up.
I always thought Toys R Us would be part of my kids growing up.
When I was pregnant, my store supported me.
My store supported me.
My store was good to me.
My store was good to me.
When I heard we were going into liquidation, I was sad.
When I heard we were going into liquidation, I was sad.
Then I was scared.
Then I was scared.
I'm a single mom.
I'm a single mom.
My rent was due in 3 weeks.
My rent was due in 3 weeks.
I did not have a backup plan.
I did not have a backup plan.
Joining this movement has been amazing.
Joining this movement has been amazing.
It has shown me that when people come together,
It has shown me when people come together,
we can win.
we can win.
Hey, Bain and KKR.
Hey, Bain and KKR.
We won't stand down.
We won't stand down.
Your families are being taken care of.
Your families are being taken care of.
What about ours?
What about ours?
Rise up.
Rise up.
Who's Toys R Us?
Our Toys R Us.
We work. We sweat. Give us our severance check. We work. We sweat. Give us our severance check. We work. We sweat. Give us our severance check.
I'm live again. Oh, you know?
We are here at KKR's offices. Because in 2005, KKR loaded Toys R Us. It's almost $5 billion in debt.
is Kathy Corwin. I have worked with the Toys R Us store 8735 in St. Petersburg, Florida for 24 years. My employment there was basically to provide health insurance for our family, as my husband works in construction, so he can't provide that. So I provided our health insurance and supplemented our income so that we could, make our bills and live our life. And, we did it week to week, and it's been a good life. And it's been great working with Toys R Us. I'm sorry, lost my place. It will take time to find employment that would match my pay and provide insurance. I feel I deserve a few weeks of severance to live off of while trying to accomplish that, as do everyone else that works for the company, the 30,000 plus. And all of us are no less deserving of severance or retention bonuses than the CEO and the executives of TRU. We who work in the stores have been and are the face of Toys R Us. We are still working in the stores to support our family of coworkers to get through their end of their closing. Where is Dave Brandon and the other execs? Certainly not in our stores. KKR, Bain, and Bernardo set this train in motion with the leverage buyout. The train is derailed. They should not be able to let us all pick up the pieces without providing some compensation for all TRU employees. It's not acceptable. We deserve severance. We cannot allow any more of these leverage buyouts. Thank you.
Randolph?
My name is Randy Mason. I come from Lexington, Kentucky. I've given 2 years to Toys R Us. Originally, I was Babies R Us. I was the Maybe Gear Department Supervisor at Toys R Us, watching over 3 departments. 3 departments. We only had 2 supervisors. After our store closed, I went to Toys R Us, where I watched over the baby side by myself. I came from nothing. I came from nearly homelessness. Toys R Us gave me hope. With liquidation, I have nothing. Where do I go? Where do I start? Who pays my bills? Who gives me food in the night? These men and women here, we are the ones who give the first-time parents their hope, their courage, their comfort when they don't know what they need for their baby. We are the ones in the holidays and the birthdays picking out the very perfect toy that they need. Where is corporate? Where is Bain? Where is KKR?
Sorry.
This ends now. Too many retail stores have gone unnoticed in this. We will not be quiet. We will not go. If not for us, the future. Retail, rise up.
Rise up!
My name is Sarah. I'm from Montgomeryville, Pennsylvania. I'm a supervisor at Babies R Us. Earlier this year, I started as a newlywed, a mom-to-be, and starting to buy a house. I found out I was losing my job on Facebook while I was in recovery from losing my son. In a span of 2 weeks, I lost my baby, I lost my job, I lost the house that I was trying to buy. I was in thousands of dollars of debt from an ambulance ride. And when my store closes, I don't know if we're going to be able to make the rent. I want KKR, Bain, and Bernardo to know, listen up, this is my family. They got a penthouse we might be on the streets. That's not right. We're gonna fight, and we are not going away. That's right. I want to thank you all for coming out and supporting Toys R Us. This has been our life. We love Toys R Us. Every single one of us will say this was our favorite job. We got to help kids of all ages, and it was the best experience of our lives. All we are asking is for what we are owed. We were promised severance pay when this started. I got a letter in the mail, so did my entire family here, that said, here's your termination debt. By the way, no severance pay. That ain't right. It's not right. So thank you, everyone, for supporting Toys R Us.
We work, we sweat.
Give us our severance check. We work, we sweat.
Give us our severance check. We work, we sweat. Give us our severance check. We work, we sweat. Give us our severance check. We work, we sweat. Give us our severance check. We work, we sweat. Give us our severance check. We work, we sweat. Give us our severance check. We work, we sweat. Give us our severance check. We work, we sweat. Give us our severance check. We work, we sweat. Give us our severance check. We work, we sweat. Give us our severance check.
Who's Toys R Us?
Our Toys R Us.
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 What do we want?
Severance pay.
When do we want it?
Now.
What do we want?
Severance pay.
When do we want it?
Now.
What do we want?
Severance pay.
When do we want it?
Now.
We gotta beat back
The Wall Street attack. We gotta beat back. 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 The Wall Street attack.
Bank Capital and KKR.
KKR.
Left us workers with a scar.
Left us workers with a scar.
Make it right, go find a way.
Make it right, go find a way.
To give true workers severance pay.
To give true workers severance pay.
Bank Capital and KKR.
Bank Capital and KKR.
Left us workers with a scar.
Left us workers with a scar.
Make it right, go find a way.
Make it right, go find a way.
To give true workers severance pay.
To give true workers severance pay.
Bank Capital and KKR.
Bank Capital and KKR.
Left us workers with a scar.
Left us workers with a scar.
Make it right, go find a way.
Make it right, go find a way.
To leave true workers severance pay.
To give true workers severance pay.
All right, Toys R Us. Let's gather behind the coffin.
Let's gather behind the coffin.
For a group photo.
For a group
We're Rise Up Retail is a campaign
You're watching ACT.tv's live coverage of the Toys R Us employee march and rally in New York City. As you heard from the speakers, there are a lot of stories of how Toys R Us was a good company to work for, supported people's families, and then was destroyed by vulture capitalism. You're watching ACT.tv. If you like this kind of coverage, please like our page, share it with your friends, and leave a comment. You're watching Act TV's live coverage.
My name is Mary Jane. I'm from Waco, Texas. 20 years with this company. Raised a family. Now I have to go find a new job. Buy my medical insurance. Buy my life insurance. In my hands, I have our petition signatures. Over 70,000 people sign these. I thought I had enough. I had a good job, sorry. Over 70,000 signatures on these petitions. Okay? We just walked over and asked if we can come in. They locked the door. I cannot deliver these, but we will get them to them. We are not going to stop. We are not going to end here. We are going to keep going. Okay? Rise Up Retail has been backing up with this whole movement, and we're not going to go down. We're going to keep fighting. Let's keep going. 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 Let's do it. Give me some. Really?
You're watching Act TV's live coverage of the Toys R Us March. Former employees of Toys R Us who were summarily fired. Some of them finding out only on Facebook, the company never actually telling them, are protesting in front of one of the vulture capitalist firms, the finance firms that help bring their company to the ground while extracting millions of dollars worth of profit. The workers would like $15,000 in severance pay, the amount of severance pay that if the $470 million profit were divided up between the 30,000 now out of work Toys R Us employees, who some of whom don't have health insurance now, are struggling to make their next rent payment, etc.
After 33 years of giving my hard-earned work to the company and not getting anything, after 33 years with the company and walking away with not knowing where I'm going, after 33, I've had this job, the first job ever, I would like this position to skip it up.
You're watching one of the workers from Toys R Us
The rest of them are in
give
Bain's
the
lobby.
petitions.
Thank you very much.
Bain's got half of them in their lobby.
What's your title? What's your title?
The workers gave their petition to, I don't know, I think it was a security guard at the building of one of the capitalist firms who basically sucked their company dry and left these workers without severance pay. The workers upon whose backs this company was built. Again, you're watching Act TV's live coverage of the Toys R Us protest here in New York City. Again, you're watching Act TV's live coverage of the Toys R Us. Watching live coverage of the Toys R Us March in New York City, where Toys R Us employees are marching and rallying in front of the corporations, the banking establishment corporations who basically vulture capitalisted their company out from under them, and now they don't have jobs. Meanwhile, these corporations and executives have, I believe, $480 million. Is it million or billion? Let me check my numbers here. Yes, $470 million in profit, while 30,000 Toys R Us workers were left out of work. I think it's done. Thank you so much. Thanks. No, that's great.
Wrapped up.
That's great. First of all, we did cover what you just said, so that was very brave of you to share your story.
Thank you. I've been working with Toys R Us and Babies R Us for 7 years, and we were promised severance when this all started, and nothing happened. We got that letter that said, no severance, sorry, and by the way, all the supervisors and the managers were expected to stay. Corporate already left. They're gone. They even shut down the help desk, the helpline, everything to help the customers. So we're left alone to deal with angry, confused customers while we're angry and confused ourselves. And we had to clean up the stores. We had to close them all by ourselves.
And so there was no, so your health care was cut off. How long did you have between when they announced this and when you were basically out on the street?
60 days. We were given a final 60 days and you're out. We found out in March that some of the stores were closing. Initially, we were led to believe it was just some of the stores, the ones whose leases were up. And then in March was when we got the word that we are bankrupt, we are going all out, all stores are closing.
And how difficult do you think it will be to find another job, given the fact that Toys R Us isn't the only retail company that this is happening to?
Most of my family, they're all retail. And without a retail environment, the workforce is completely saturated.
Everyone will be working for Amazon.
Yeah,
that's it.
That's it.
And they can pay you nothing.
Like, I was lucky where I had some office experience and I have IT experience, but what about, the kids that are 19 trying to get through college? I mean, everything other than retail is 4 years experience. Where?
Well, I think anyone, even if you have experience and you can find another job, deserves to be treated with respect for the job they've already done.
Absolutely.
Where does your protest go from here?
I'm not sure. This was the end of our protest.
I mean, where does the group go with their movement?
Well, this was a 3-day action plan. Friday, we spoke with a couple of senators. We had a press conference. Sunday, we had a flash mob at a Toys R Us store.
I wish we had seen that one.
In Union, Pennsylvania, or Union, New Jersey. Today was our big event. Now, I think we're mostly trying to get the rest of our Toys R Us family, getting it heard by the rest of them, and going from there. We don't have a full set just yet. This was the end of our 3-day action.
Do you think Toys R Us will be bonding up with some of the other corporations who are, or companies who are actually falling to the same fate?
Absolutely. A huge group that was part of it, Rise Up Retail, they've been working with multiple companies like Amazon or with Walmart. And we have people from Walmart here today. We have people that did not work with Toys R Us that were just in retail and they came out to support us. Like, we're going to go out and support them.
I mean, Toys R Us is such a nice, happy, I would imagine, place to work because it's toys and you're supporting families, and Babies R Us actually I didn't know what to do when I had my baby, and they walked me through what seemed incredibly overwhelming to have to get all that stuff or whatever you need. It seems like it was a chipper place to work, so it seems doubly horrible that this is the way it ended up. Do your employees feel that way also?
Absolutely. This was a job that we enjoy doing. Do I want to work in retail? Not necessarily, but my job was amazing. I was the registry supervisor and I got to speak to new parents. I got to teach new parent classes. I got to walk them through the store. I got to teach them. I got to watch their babies grow up. I got to watch them be born. So they were all a family to us. It was so much fun, our customers, and I got to help people. There are very few jobs, especially in retail, where you actually get to help people.
When did the workers start getting wind that these things were happening? Because it seems like it didn't happen all at once. It's just started slowly trickling in, and then all of a sudden there was an end. If there are other workers watching who are starting to hear, what can they be on the lookout for if their company is getting on the same path? Because then maybe they could organize before the company gets completely destroyed.
We had a lot of people that their benefits were getting confused, their paychecks were getting confused. While I was out recovering, I didn't get paid. I was supposed to be getting medical leave, and I didn't get 3 weeks worth of pay. I got $50. And that
is awful.
That's when I started getting ideas something's wrong. And before that, we were getting emails to speak to my other consultants that we're changing our programs for the registry. And we're not allowed to tell anyone. We're not allowed to talk to the customers about it. And we were upset because they were like, oh, we'll give you training in February, but it's starting now in January. And we're all confused. And then when we were asking what's going on, they said, wait, you're not allowed to talk to each other anymore either. And
Is there a union?
No, we were not allowed to unionize.
Not allowed?
Nope. And that's when we all started getting an idea, okay, something's up. And that's why we're all saying enough. We're speaking up because we were told to be quiet. And we're not doing that anymore.
Thank you so much for talking to us. Is there anything people who are watching can do to help your cause or other people in retail?
Just share it. Let it be known. Tell people what's happening because these companies are just going to keep doing it if they think they can do it without a fight. If we're loud, if we let them know we're not backing down, we put that pressure on them and let the public know, then they'll realize that there's a problem because a huge number of people work retail. It's not just us. And there's a huge other companies that are going to be going out. So pay attention because it might happen to you. So be loud about it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks. You're watching ACT.tv. This was our live coverage of the Toys R Us march and rallies through New York City. Employees of Toys R Us and also of the group Rise Up Retail, which if you are in retail or you want to just spread this message, you can take a look at that group, what they do. Rise Up Retail, it's called, have been protesting the unjust treatment of the workers. Basically, the workers got nothing, no severance, nothing. When the executives and basically the capital corporations behind this takedown got $470 million. So it's completely unjust. And if you like this kind of coverage, even though it might depress you terribly, we believe that these people deserve an outlet to be heard. And that's what we provide at ACT.tv. If you like this kind of coverage, please make a comment wherever you're watching, whether it's on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitter, and share this page with your friends. I'm Juliana Forlano. We'll be back with the next coverage of the next event from New York City, D.C., California, wherever they're happening pretty soon. So stay tuned. That was awesome. That was so good. I mean, that was such